and welcome to the June 25th, 2024 meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends and Daily Record newspapers, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
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 It's like riding a bike.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Dreese is absent. Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mrs. Russell?
Here.
This is too hard to do when there's not enough people. And Mayor Hurd is absent. We have a quorum.
We have no presentations for this evening. At this time, are there reports or comments from any of the volunteers serving our community? Next on the agenda is public comment. This public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. We welcome comments, suggestions, and questions during the public comment period. However, the purpose of this is to allow public comment, not to engage in a dialogue. If you have a specific question, please feel free to pose it and then follow up with staff via telephone or email. As a reminder, comments are limited to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized to come to the microphone and provide your name for the record.
Hello, can you hear me? Hi, my name is Thomas Kenley. Speaking on behalf of myself and my wife Laura Kenley, who's also here with me. We would like to respectfully request that the township revise its home occupations ordinance in order to permit cottage food operator activities in compliance with recent changes to the New Jersey state law. The New Jersey Department of Health has recently enacted regulations that streamline the requirement for small-scale food production and distribution operations. This is cited in NJAC 824-11.1. Previously, any such operation would have been subject to very intensive Department of Health regulation and some coursework that is designed for very large commercial food preparation operations. The new regulations create a new cottage food operator permit for food preparation businesses which do not have a gross annual income exceeding $50,000. The activities are still regulated by the Department of Health. These types of uses can take place at home instead of in a commercial kitchen or a retail establishment, and they're still subject to NJ DOT inspection. We're planning on opening such a business at home that would permit my wife Laura to sell baked goods to order out and delivery. Individuals would order baked goods online or via phone or email or word of mouth. We wouldn't have anyone coming to the home to shop, so to speak. Everything would be made to order. For example, like somebody ordered a pie, for Saturday, we could make a pie for Saturday. Unfortunately, the township's home occupations ordinance, section 360-46A, would not permit this particular use in the township's residential zones. It's unfortunate because such an activity would be no more impactful than home occupations that are permitted, such as a dressmaker, a tailor, a seamstress, etc. While we could file for a use variance to permit the small-scale baking operation, it seems preferable for the Township Committee to consider revising the Township Code in following with the New Jersey state regulations. I'd like to thank you for your time and consideration on this matter.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm all for that. I know there's a lot to do first, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Roosnick can also comment. The action is simple.
Yes.
But because this is municipal government, the process is long.
That's a good way to put it.
So it requires an amendment to the zoning ordinance,
Okay.
which would potentially require notice to all properties affected and zones surrounding those properties.
Which is not
Would
feasible.
be
Which is not.
not
Which is
feasible.
not feasible, because that's all the residential.
It would be everybody, it would be, I don't know, $15,000-$20,000 in mailing costs. So there is a process whereby the planning board can undertake a reexamination of the master plan, specific to certain goals as well as this request, and make a recommendation that the governing body can then consider and make the appropriate zone change, which would then have to follow the process where the issues ordinance would be referred back to the planning board, they would review it back to the governing body. So we're talking best case scenario, months, 6-ish to be conservative.
Okay. So how do we get the ball rolling? I mean, I think there's, Melissa, I don't know, we got 3 guesses?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
it's something we should allow, and if we can,
Yeah.
And
I guess it's really, even though you're saying it still could take that many months, is that more of a fast track going that way? Or you're saying you
That's
don't want to
expeditious.
it's a, yeah, it's a fast,
That's
that
the
would be a
fastest
faster
track
process.
possible.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't
And
apply to just
cheaper.
one property.
Right.
You know, presumably there are others. One of the issues that are, you know, when I spoke to the health officer, he pointed out is, you know, there's probably people doing this. These folks are trying to do this legally and by the rules.
Right.
There's probably people out there not doing it by the rules, and part of the reason people don't do it by the rules are really difficult.
Right.
And we don't, it doesn't help when our ordinance doesn't allow it to start with, because you can't get the permit from the state unless the municipality issues a zoning permit, which Joe would not be able to do, because
Right.
quite clearly it's not allowed. You know, in terms of a review by the planning board of the master plan, I mean, the planner's opinion is going to be, this use is consistent with the other uses we allow for home occupations. There are rules around things like, you know, the parking and how that would be governed, that apply to all home businesses
Okay.
and would apply to these businesses. So there is built-in protection in our code already for neighbors. So
Would they need to come in front of us or come in front of the planning boards? Like,
They would not.
They're here. So so if someone, Joe Smith, wants to open up a sub place, I mean, he can just apply to the zoning?
well, he would,
After we
act,
after
he would
we
be
act.
able to apply to the zoning officer for a zoning permit and comply with all of the state regulations. And that's a great point, because the state regulations, a sub place, like a place that's really mass producing and selling a lot,
That was a bad
and having
example.
people, no, but it's a good point, because that's what you want to avoid.
Right.
You want to avoid those kind of uses, but built into that state code and built into our zoning ordinance are things that avoid that. Our zoning ordinance, you know, all the uses that you're currently allowed to have, you're still not allowed to design in such a way that you have multiple people there at one time, so that you have cars parking and annoying
Right.
neighbors and that kind of stuff. So, you know,
I'd like to move forward on it.
No, I would too.
Yeah, so-
And
so-
100%.
I was going to say, just one comment about the master plan. We always said, correct me if I'm wrong, the master plan is meant, it's like a breathing document.
Yes.
So the planning board can review it, decide, like, now this is, you know, a use that makes sense.
Well,
and-
before it was not, we weren't allowed to do it because the state said no.
Right.
Now the
But now
state
we can.
turned, but we have to change all our laws
Correct.
yeah.
to.
And the idea of opening up the master plan, that's to avoid the notice
Yeah.
problem that we would face if we tried to do this without, arguably face. There's an argument to be made that you wouldn't have to go through that process, but that opens us up to possible challenges,
Right.
which we could avoid by going that route. As long as the planning board's open to doing that, and I think they are. Their professionals are open to it, so I would presume, Dave, you would probably know better, that it would get planning board would be fairly open to.
Yeah, I mean, I read it, and I was questioning why I thought the state superseded us
Yeah.
with our rules, but I guess being, we have to change our ordinance so the state can issue a license.
The
Right.
state won't issue the license
Yeah.
Unless
without
we
the
change
zoning
our
permit
stuff.
coming first.
Yeah.
And that's because the state chose not to say these uses are okay in all zones. They want the municipality to control the zoning part of this.
Right.
Yeah,
They're
when
interested
they
in
were
the
more-
health part of
When they
it.
were more
Right.
restricted from a health perspective.
Correct.
That's why we didn't act on it, and we have language from, I don't know, the 60s
Right.
in our ordinance. So, you know, respectfully, if I could recommend to the elected officials on the planning board, bring this back as a
Yeah.
report item. The planning board, Bob mentions the professionals and the staff are all aware of it, I'll follow with it as well. And, you know, having participated in the reexamination report in other municipalities, it doesn't have to be the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll let the planning board attorney know that
Yeah.
the council's consensus was that it's something we would like to act on, but we because of the constraints of notice, would ask that they do this part of it. So hopefully we can get that accomplished.
Okay, good.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I just want to say, I was hoping all the other people from the library were going to be here tonight since they told me that I should be coming to these meetings. Dana Witzak, 6 Bryan Court, Pequannock. I was at the Board of Trustees meeting last Wednesday night, and I expressed how disappointed I am that Debbie resigned her position, and talking to her and other people that have been going to the library meetings, I've come to the conclusion for myself that she was pretty much forced out of that position. She was forced to resign. Whether you agree or not is not my concern. This is how I feel. I've been with her for 10 years at that library. I've attended some magnificent programs. I learned how to play chess. I met P.T. Barnum. I met Abraham Lincoln, Betsy Ross. I've sat in current events that she had, these programs once a month. We would get a topic and we'd watch a film on it. Crafts. I was there Saturday to sign up for the summer reading program, and I couldn't believe I couldn't even get in the door because this program is phenomenal, and it has been for many years. My own daughter attended this program. But now I'm on a fact-finding mission, and my biggest concern now is the board. I hear they're appointed by town council, and I would like to know how that process really works. Is it like when somebody is showing interest in being on the board, they submit like an application? Is it blind? Do you not know who the person is when you decide who it's going to be? They put down their reasons. Like I'm trying to understand this process. And the other thing that concerns me, as you may have remember me saying last Wednesday night, is this 5 years. I think 5 years is a long time for one person to serve on that board. I think 3 years would probably be good, but 5 is a long time. And especially since, maybe not in this town, the way town council can change, as well as we all know, if they're not there when they're appointed, whatever their role was on town council, I guess you all vote on this. I really would like to see that 5-year change to maybe 3. That's what I would like to see. And I also want to know who can I speak to? Who would be the best person or persons to speak to get all these facts that I want, to find out before I start spewing my mouth. I would like to have a little bit more information, because my personal feelings for Debbie have to be separate from what may be happening or may not be happening with the board. So I don't know if my time is up, but if you can just lead me in that direction, so I can be better prepared for the July meeting and then come September.
Would you like me to respond?
Yeah.
Okay. The 5-year thing well, the answer is really easy, but the answer is the state makes it a 5-year term. So we don't control that locally. It's a 5-year term. It is what it is. That would be something the state legislature would have to do, and you'd really be taking on a project if you wanted to try to get them to change it statewide. But so it is a 5-year appointment. It will be a 5-year appointment. We can't change that. In terms of how the appointments are made and who does it, the library board, my understanding, and Carol can correct me if I'm wrong, like all boards here, applications go to the clerk's office. They are collected there. They are not anonymous. The individual needs to identify themselves when they put an application in. And then the applications, once in, the clerk recognizes them as in. And when the annual appointment time comes in January, sometime a couple months before that, the council gets names from Carol of people who've applied for positions, reviews that, and then makes a decision as to not just the library board, but all of the different boards and committees that the council has a responsibility to fill. Technically, if you go to the statutes, because I suspect you will and read them, what you'll read is that it's an appointment of the mayor. But in this town, the council has always, the person acting in the role of mayor, has always made that a position that the council as a whole fills and asks for everybody's input on it. The mayor doesn't just do it. The mayor has the council join in. But when you read and you go to the statute, and then your question of how do you find out more about this, it's actually not that complicated. If you go to the state statute free public libraries, and even just an internet search of free public libraries should lead you there pretty easily. It's pretty well laid out, the procedure, how they're appointed, what the authority is, what the powers are. And you'll see when it comes to the library board, there's certain categories of positions on the board. The mayor sits on the board, or the mayor's designee sits on the board. And other, other representatives are there. There can be alternates, and it goes right through that in the statute. Because our free public library is governed by the same rules that really statewide govern most libraries. So I don't think it's all that complicated. There's also some really good resources online that the state has put out geared toward library trustees and educating them about the process that you can, you can find your way to, I think, if you put a little bit of time into it.
Okay, well, that explains the state.
Yeah, it's not our rules, it's the
Now we
state.
gotta get to the local part of it, is, the stuff that I'm hearing, I'm not happy with, and that's why it seems like I'm gonna have to start attending meetings. I'm hearing everything from banning books, all the way to, it's just, a lot of things that are being said, and that's what I really want to get to the root to, is, somebody didn't just say the library's banning books. They had to get that from someone, somewhere, somehow. So, of course, if that's, the direction we're going to lead, I already have no rights for my body. Now I can't read a book that I'm not going to be happy about, okay? It's just, I think we're getting ridiculous now in this country. I really do.
Yeah.
But locally, this is, I've been living here for 30 years. A lot of this stuff is new to me, but, Debbie was just, I'm personally, and, for the township, I am very upset that she felt like she had to put in her resignation. So I want to find out if this is a board doing, if what's behind it, what's the drive.
So before Mrs. Russell's, I think, is going to respond to you, this part of the meeting tonight, we have very few people here, so we're kind of going off a little bit.
And I appreciate that. Thank you.
What we're really supposed to do is just take comments from people, have them end it, respond to all of them. So just for the future, that tonight it's you and
that's
maybe
what I'm
Sharon.
looking for. I'm looking for that direction.
And we heard the one comment we have.
Where I can start.
Yeah. So with but we would like to try to stick with a with a
but you
comment
do have to
period.
know that's how I feel about
Understood.
Debbie.
So,
And I appreciate that. We all like Debbie. We all appreciated Debbie. But I do want to put one rumor to rest that we've said unequivocally. The board has no intention of banning books. You said they didn't just take it out of anywhere. They did just take it out of anywhere.
This is what
It's never been mentioned. It's never been suggested. Nobody's ever asked to ban a single book at that library, not on the board or off the board. So some people kind of just like to drive up fear, and they keep coming up with these things that just simply aren't true.
Well, that's, we have leaders that do that across the nation and the world. And, unfortunately, like I said, I'm trying to stay local, and I appreciate you answering my questions, which is not part of it, but I'm just looking for that direction. And then where I would find out how much time is the current board members now, what's left on their 5-year deal.
Right.
I'm sorry, I cringe at this 5 years.
Everything is on the library board, on the library
I couldn't
website.
find that. I'll look
if
at
you
that.
go to About, it'll have them and their year and when it ends.
Yeah, I couldn't find the year.
And you can also feel free to pick up the phone and call any of the board members.
That's who work directly with them, or is there...
or come
okay.
and ask at a meeting, or
Call
come
me.
ask at.
Or you can call Carol.
Because I have all the resolutions.
All right.
So,
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for answering some of my questions.
sorry, I just needed to put Mr. That rumor, and I hear it time and time again, and somebody asked at a library board meeting, and we said, absolutely not, we have no intention, and then the next day, she posted it on Facebook, and it was like, I don't know how much more we could tell people other than, no, it's never, ever, ever been mentioned, nor is it. Not one of us on that board believes that any library books in our public library should be banned.
Well, I'll stop a rumor when I know the facts, that's for sure. But,
Yeah.
I have to know first. So that's really what my concern and question is. Okay.
Okay, anybody else? Sharon?
I'll do it later.
There being no additional public comments, we will continue on the agenda. The next item on our agenda is the manager's report.
Thank you, ma'am. Brief report. Within my written report, there's one item the council has for its consideration this evening, change order number 4 for the Route 23 sewer project. As with large projects, discovered something interesting in the field. There's a water main that dead ends and is in conflict with where the sewer needs to be installed. So the proposal, based upon the discussion of the professionals and the licensed operator, is to loop the main so it doesn't have a dead end. Dead ends and water mains are bad because you don't want water to sit and be stagnant. So anytime you can loop them, it helps with water pressure, fire protection, water quality, etc. And it would allow for that to be done and moved out of the way of the sewer project so that the sewer would be more easily installed. If this is not done, then there needs to be temporary water mains set up that are above ground, and it creates different challenges, and it leads something in the field that we would rather not. As noted in my memo, the cost of the change order, if approved, would be absorbed by the water utility, not the sewer utility, to keep the right dollars in the right buckets, as it will benefit the water utility. And unless there's any questions, there's also supporting documentation from the engineer and the township's utility.
This is the issue between the Crestmont.
Correct. So
That'll
it's,
actually help the water flow. Dave said that the diner is having problems with water.
yeah, it'll help everywhere.
And it'll help,
Yeah.
it'll help
In
with
that region. And you know, you have a team mobilized that's able to affect this, so it would be less expensive to do now than if we had to do a unique contract just for this project.
Is that all the construction that's down the side street by the gas station?
Yes.
Down at the end?
Yeah.
Garden. yeah.
Garden.
Yes.
Mess down there.
Other than that, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no public hearings scheduled for this evening, and there are no ordinance scheduled. The next agenda item is resolutions. Ms. Marsh.
Ending with Resolution R 2024-141, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the 2024 budget pursuant to NJSA 48:487, which is for the local recreation improvement grant. R 2024-142, approving the renewal of the designated alcoholic beverage control licenses. 143, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Sunset Road reconstruction, South Sunset Lane to West Parkway project. 144, authorizing the discretionary award of a contract for the animal control vehicle transport body and equipment to Swab Wagon Company Incorporated in the amount of $28,605 and not to exceed $30,000. 2024-145, authorizing the discretionary award of a contract for the excavator trailer to FDR Hitches in the amount of $27,170. 146, approving the change order number 4 for the Route 23 sewer project, increasing the contract with P&A Contractors of Colonia, New Jersey by $32,408 to a revised contract price of $5,574,740.34. 147, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. And 148, approving the payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the June 20th, 2024 bill list and 2018 FEMA elevation escrow list.
Are there any comments on these resolutions from council?
I do have a few comments. For the first one, Adam, the 141, I believe you and I both got an email today from the state. That's something that I need to, I guess you applied for this when I was mayor last year?
And they haven't changed. So I logged in to execute the necessary approvals, and the documents didn't exist here.
So do I need to?
You don't need to do it.
I don't need to do it.
No.
So I can delete the 2 emails?
Yes,
like
sir.
that? Okay. So that was the one. For 143, I still would like to know if the PD Traffic Division signed off on it. And the only reason I'm asking for that to sign off is no one that's sitting up here is an expert in any of this, improvements that the engineer wants to make. And if there are issues with residents, I'd like to be able to say that we vetted it through the engineer and the traffic, and they both approved, rather than us taking the heat for possibly something that is going to be done.
The police department and leadership, as well as traffic, has reviewed it. I think it's a phenomenal improvement.
Oh, good.
All right, perfect.
So you got something back on that?
Correct.
Because we did say that, okay.
144, is that just a pickup truck and a chassis that we're purchasing? It doesn't come with a bed, and if it is coming with a bed, is the bed coming back to us, or?
This is the body that is the specialty body that will be married to the chassis.
Right, but we bought a pickup truck. Is the pickup truck coming with a pickup bed, or is it just coming with the cab and?
I believe it's just the cab and the back part, which will be married to the chassis.
Okay.
And everything will be accomplished within the budget that we.
Perfect.
Looks like it's coming in under, no?
Well, we budgeted
If it is,
30,000.
it's like
Okay.
lunch under.
Good use.
Yeah.
But under,
Not even dinner.
but under,
Fast food under.
but under.
And the last one that I have is the 145 for the construction excavator trailer.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that the trailer that we're purchasing, we put off buying the new excavator until next year. Will that trailer be able to handle this, the new excavator that we may get next year?
In addition to a laundry list of other equipment, yes.
Okay.
Provided the additional funds.
I went online, it looks like there's a 10, a 12, and a 15 ton, and it looks like we're getting.
This is
a
the
15
biggest
ton.
one.
This is the big one,
So,
yes. So this will help us in our normal operations. And if council wants to refer back to their budget book, it is identified as a component of the acquisition for the capital request.
Other than that, I'm good on those. I'm good.
And also within budget.
Good, that's good.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolutions R 2024-141 through R 2024-148.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes, thank you for letting the traffic division look at that. I appreciate it. Yes.
Mrs. Russell.
Yes. Okay, there are no items listed for discussion, nor are there any reports or notices. The next item on our agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilwoman Florence Lynch.
Yes, I don't have any, none of my committees met, but I just have a couple of things that I attended that I just wanted to bring up. Most of us went to the middle school PV school graduation. That was great to watch all the kids graduate 8th grade. We went to the high school graduation. That was also a wonderful event to watch all the high school graduates. I went to the Shop the Town event last week, which was fabulous. So they're going to do it again next year. They probably got 30 or 40 vendors to, shops to participate, and it was a wonderful event. So they're going to keep growing that.
Street fair again?
They're open to doing a street fair again.
I like the street fair.
Yeah, no, I do too. But this was just something that actually it was organized pretty much by Heidi. And
She did the street fair too, didn't
yeah,
she?
I know, exactly. So it really wasn't even, she kind of ran with it as opposed to the chamber saying we want to do this. So
Okay.
that's kind of how that started. And then PV Park had a free day. I didn't hear how that went. How did that go?
Over 800 people through the game.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I went there for a little bit, but I heard it was phenomenal.
Mother Nature kind of blessed the day. The
Yeah.
weather was
It was a
tremendous.
beautiful. It was,
Any chances we know how many non-members went through the gate?
We don't, but I believe there were 140 registrations after the event.
Wow.
So that's great. It was a
So
success.
it
It
works.
was a win-win then.
It works. It's that and the food truck festival are always very successful.
Yeah, that was awesome. Good. I'm glad we did that.
Staff's doing an excellent job handling all the volume too.
Yeah, they really are.
And we're up in membership.
And that's really all I have. I went to a first aid fundraiser the Friday before last, which was kind of neat. It was they had a medium there, and it was interesting. So, it
That
good
was
fundraising.
company to Ladies Auxiliary.
Oh, that's right. I was
First
just
aid.
saying that. It was Ladies Auxiliary. Yeah, that was good though. I kept calling it first aid. It was
Anybody talk to you?
Yeah, well, I was one of those people. I went in and I kind of sat in the back because I don't believe in that stuff. Because you have to kind of be open to it. And then sure enough, who do they pick on first? Me. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm a believer now. But anyway, it was nice. But I don't know why I keep calling that first aid because it was a Company 2 Women's Auxiliary. But it was a good event. But that's it. I don't know if Economic Development is meeting tomorrow night. I have to call. They normally would meet tomorrow night, but I haven't heard.
Councilman Cole.
All right, there's been a lot of chatter on social media about pedestrian safety in town. If you can talk to the PD, I know they have in the past done a cop in plain clothes in the crosswalk to make sure people are stopping. From what we're hearing, or from what I'm hearing, there's cars that are stopping, and then there's cars that are going on the right or around the person on the left. And that's a serious concern, I think, for everybody on the council.
Yeah, they do it periodically. They did it about 6 weeks ago, if my memory is accurate, going from my memory. But sitting where my window sits, it's terrifying to see what happens in front of the church.
And I know, that they hate giving tickets to local residents. Well, too bad.
Right.
You know what? If you're doing that, you deserve a ticket.
You know how sometimes Lincoln Park, when I go around the corner, coming in by the old corn farm, they have one of their trailers set there with little messages on it. They're usually quite humorous, actually, but, they say stuff like, don't do this, and then they have it just to get it in people's mind, like, stop at a crosswalk.
Mm.
Yeah, we currently have the speed trailer on the turnpike.
Yeah.
We have the message board outside of the Henning House. We can rotate messages.
Yeah, just.
But I think
Challenges people paying attention to that.
Yeah.
Typically pay
So
attention
many
to
people do
pedestrians.
it. So many people do it. Sometimes when I'm
I
crossing.
like the idea of the cop in the plain clothes and seeing if people are actually stopping and see if
I'm
we
sure
can.
there's a cop.
I mean, that word will get around town, so that's a big concern of mine. On 6/13, Company 2, Fire Department Company 2 met. Very appreciative of the new truck that they got. They sent it out to have it undercoating and have the bed of it. It looks like they went with a utility bed. That's been rhino lined and undercoated, so I was happy to hear that. Company 1 moved their meeting to on 6/14. They usually meet the first Friday of the month. They had a conflict, so they moved it to 6/14. Unfortunately, I was away for that, so I did not attend that. As Melissa said, congratulations to all of the Pequannock Valley graduates and the PTHS graduates. It was, as my mother used to say, it was very close that night. It was hot, but this year they moved us off of the turf, which I think helped, at least for us, because I think it's 15 degrees hotter on the turf. But congratulations to all of the graduates. Our fireworks are this Friday at dusk. Happy 4th of July to everyone. And also, the Pequannock First Aid Squad is selling Super 50/50 tickets. Please, if you can, support them. They're $100 a piece. I don't know how many tickets they're selling, but you can see probably any First Aid Squad member for a ticket.
And it's guaranteed $5,000.
Yeah, guaranteed $5,000. Nice. A lot of people, they put something on social media today. A lot of people probably don't realize that they are an independent organization from the township. I mean, we definitely support them with insurance and rigs, but the building that they own back there is their building that they own. It's not a township-owned building, so any improvements that they do is strictly through donations that people send from town. So.
And will the fire departments be collecting donations also at the fireworks? Usually they're
Yes, I believe all three.
In the backfield and in the front.
Yeah, the fire department will be there, and it's split 3 ways between the 2 fire departments and the first aid squad.
So bring cash.
Yeah, bring cash. Yeah. So.
Are you done? Thank you.
Yes,
Good.
that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So my committees didn't meet. We did have a library board meeting. We did hire an interim library director because Debbie has left for another job. Her name is Susan Calantone. She's lovely. Go meet her. We are interviewing for a new library director. Other than that, I did want to talk to the council about the library parking lot. I know we go back and forth. Library should pay for it. Council should pay for it. It's the taxpayer money either way. It's in 2 different buckets, I realize that. But I'd like to suggest that maybe the council, do you have an approximate on how much?
I don't, sorry.
About, maybe 100?
I don't want to speculate on that.
Okay. But what I'd like to
That's why I
suggest
apologize.
is that we do a joint effort. Let the council pay 2/3 from the municipal money, am I phrasing that right? And then the library from their budget can pay 1/3, and we can just get this parking lot redone, because it needs to be redone. And going back and forth isn't helping the taxpayers one bit.
I'm 100% in agreement on that. I think, you know, as you and I discussed earlier, that curbing that when you pull in on the right-hand side just needs to be shortened up a little bit so it's easier to make the right, and possibly put a very small island in the
Where they
middle
have that
with a
thing.
sign that says right turn only. But I am 100% in support of that, with no additional fees or strings attached to the
What was that?
our
It
part.
needs to be done, it needed to be done for a long time. And I know years ago, we used to help them do that parking lot, years ago.
I think it's original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but didn't they do a couple of things? Well, maybe it was just striping and stuff like that. I don't know.
So we can
But I
agree
know
in
we've
next
done
year's budget, we could add in, right, it would go into next year's budget.
And if it's okay, I did find a memo that the engineer prepared in 2023, so I don't know if these numbers remain accurate, but
that.
the range in costs, depending upon certain factors, are from $165, $355 to $205, $655.
Okay. So you guys okay with paying 2/3 and then the library
Yeah.
board will reserve?
Like you said, it's two buckets, but it's all
No,
taxpayer money.
I apologize, that's the wrong spreadsheet. So
I said, like you said, we gotta get it done.
wrong
Yeah,
numbers.
well, it can be done. So
So please strike those numbers from anybody's
for
vision.
some
Go
reason,
ahead.
I know we had talked
No, I was
about
trying to find it.
budgeting 100,000.
You don't have the numbers.
is
You
what
didn't
we were-
find the.
I'm looking through. Likely around $100,000.
That's what I was thinking. Aside. So we can put that in the budget next year. if we can
Absolutely.
find it. In the meantime, can we ask that DPW fill the potholes?
If that is acceptable to the council and the
Can
council
we have
directs
the
it,
potholes
I will
filled
have.
as
Works
soon as
for me.
possible?
And maybe that's what I
DPW
was thinking of before, maybe that's what they did.
Okay,
They
let's-
repaired in the past, they did
let's-
striping, they did
Let's
potholes,
get that done.
patching.
I will communicate that.
Thank
first
you,
thing
thank
to
you,
the
thank you.
public.
No
Thank you to
problem.
everybody. Appreciate it. Library appreciate it, patrons appreciate it, board appreciates it. Next on the agenda is public comment. As a reminder, we welcome comments, suggestions, and questions rather than dialogue during the public comment period. And comments are limited to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized to come to the microphone and provide your name for the record.
Good evening, Council. Sharon Taylor, Pompton Plains. I come to the meetings because I love this township. I care about a lot of people and I watch over a lot of people. So this is usually what happens. It gets empty though after a lot of chaos, right? So the old crew that used to come would come to every meeting and I learned a lot from them. So I'll never forget that. I just wanted to kind of comment about the boulevard. You know, with Facebook, there's always a lot of gossip, and there's three sides to every story. So, you know, with the whole crosswalks, people getting in accidents and things that are happening, I believe a few weeks ago I mentioned to the council and I asked you if you could reach out to your connections about educating not only just drivers but kids to make sure they're wearing their helmets, to make sure that they're using the crosswalks properly, and you know, there's probably a lot of traffic that's coming through off Route 23, not just from people from town. And I notice a lot of cars are just parked all day and all night on the boulevard. And even side streets, it's, you know, people have garages, they have driveways, and people are just like leaving their cars out all day and all night. And that becomes a big conflict too. So I would just like to know, and as a resident, I'd like to see a lot more being done about educating the township and maybe reinforcing some of that again. Because unfortunately, if someone gets hit, you don't want somebody taking their last breath in your arms. It's not an easy thing to see. So a few weeks ago, I saw a young kid on a scooter, no helmet, didn't even stop at the stop sign and went completely right through one street to the other side of the street, crossing the boulevard, and there were cars coming. So kids need to understand too that they need to use their bikes and their scooters safely as well. So it's probably not a question that's going to get answered right away, but if you can all reach out and just really start educating, not just the driver, but also the young kids. And unfortunately, school is over, so that would have been a great thing for kids to start getting, reminded about before the end of the school year. Then I just wanted to, know with the Facebook, some people were mentioning about the library and things going on. It's unfortunate that a lot of this stuff happened, but that Facebook is not a township-run Facebook page. But when you open it, it has the municipal building on the front of it. So if it's a personal page that's run by people, they should use other pictures because it becomes very deceiving and they think it's coming from the township. And I think that that's been brought up quite a few times already. So, and if there's stuff going on that shouldn't be, if it's township business, I think that some of it needs to get cut off because, a lot of the gossip that's happening, it's being brought here and it's causing a lot of, chaos and making some people not feel so good about all the hard work that they do. And then the last thing, I just wanted to follow up about the trees to see if there was an update, whether we were able to get some more trees for the township, or is that still in the works? And that's it.
I don't know. Do you know?
Yes.
He didn't know whether he could talk.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Which set of rules we're playing.
Yeah, we already started answering.
Okay.
Feel free.
I think everybody, you said
As whatever
you
you're
can
doing.
answer it.
I blew it tonight, sorry, I
Yeah,
just wanted to answer.
There's a variety of
some
reasons. So, with respect to the boulevard, it is a county road. We communicate with them a lot. And I would love to solve some of the problems you identified with people doing things that are not wise. Unfortunately, we do the best we can. I know the PD, as a component of the stuff they do in the schools, they do education about helmets and bicycles, but that doesn't mean we can't do more. So I'll circle back with police department, let them know, because we'll do the best we can with education, and hopefully people listen. With respect to Facebook, yes, you can't trademark a name of a place, and it is not up to the municipality to govern what people put on their Facebook pages. My understanding is there is a disclaimer. So it is not within the township's prerogative or purview or authority to regulate that speech. We can't. And then regarding the trees, we're still having trouble getting the trees. So it's definitely not happening in June.
So
Well,
there's
good
no,
thing, because they probably would have died.
so there's
They
no
would've.
timeline, they just are having trouble getting
We
them. don't know
can't
when.
buy the volume of trees.
Yeah.
Mr. Dreesy commented he's having challenges with his projects as well. It is not for want of effort and attention, it's just we can't get the trees. So we've tried a couple different approaches. We're reaching out to further regions
Well, we're supposed to get them from a
to
grant.
get the trees.
Yeah,
The money,
Oh,
we got
have
the
the
money,
for them, we
we
just,
just don't have the
the
trees.
trees, okay.
is there any way of putting that on Facebook so people stop, or putting that on the township webpage, so?
My understanding is there's a very limited number of people that are that interested in it, so if anybody wants to speak
I
on
don't
that.
know, we're hearing every
No,
every
it's the
week.
same.
It's the same half dozen
It's the same
people.
person, same person as every week.
It's not a large group of people.
But I think when they got the grant, they sent out a questionnaire asking people, hey.
What kind of tree do you
Yeah,
want?
what kind of tree do you want? So people are expecting trees in there.
Yeah, we don't have the trees.
Yeah.
How many people sent back those?
You know what's funny, I got a call saying, I don't want a tree, why are they telling me I gotta put a tree in?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a few dozen trees.
Yeah,
It's not hundreds.
well, that's why I was wondering, I didn't know if 100 people sent back the form or 30.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many were before, but that's the challenge. If we could have bought the trees, we would have bought the trees and put them in, and hopefully they would have survived the recent hot weather and dry weather, but can't get it.
Okay,
Okay,
thanks. Take care.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, there are no minutes presented for approval, and there are no items listed for closed session. There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7:45. Really,
42.
42. 42 and a half.
Yeah, 42 on Verizon.